reading a script. We're just reading a script. Let's go! Hello everybody, welcome back to Needle Workshop. I'm Julie and today I'm excited to introduce to you our latest cosplay pattern, the Defense Force armbands and boot covers. For pieces like these, the methods in which you can make them are virtually endless. There are simply too many variations to cover in just one video. You can use materials such as foam, fabric, leather, or even a combination of these as your base. The finishing touches can vary just as much, so it's all about what inspires you and fits your needs. Whether you're aiming for a specific look, working with your favorite materials, or being budget conscious, we wholeheartedly encourage you to mix and match as you see fit. In this tutorial, we'll be focusing on the fabric method, but if you're interested in the foam technique, you can find that explained in our tutorial book. This pattern comes in an array of sizes from extra small to 4XL. Print it easily at home on US letter or A4 paper, or go big with A0 at your local print shop. As always, our patterns come with detailed written tutorials packed with helpful information. You'll find a measurement guide, a pattern printing guide with various options, material suggestions, and plenty of pictures and graphics to assist you throughout the process. We highly recommend making a mock-up before you begin. No two bodies are the same, so making a mock-up allows you to tweak and adjust the pattern to make sure the fit is right for you. Please note that the seam allowance for this pattern is 1 centimeter unless otherwise specified. Now before you begin, you'll want to choose between top stitching or using heat transfer vinyl for the zigzag lines on the armbands and boot covers. In this video, we'll demonstrate both methods, but you can decide which one works best for your project. Another thing to keep in mind is if you are using a leather or vinyl type fabric, you'll need to use a walking foot for all the top stitching parts. If you don't have a walking foot, you can use some parchment paper, stitch through it, and then carefully rip out the paper. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the tutorial.
Start by piercing holes into the pattern at the corners of the zigzags. Place your pattern over your fabric and mark the holes with erasable chalk or pen. Also, mark the ends of the zigzags at the edges of the fabric. Using the same pen or chalk and a ruler, connect the dots to create your guidelines. If you've decided to use a top stitch for the zigzags, take your armbands to your machine and top stitch along the drawn-on guidelines. If you want a little more thickness to these lines, you can always pass over the stitch a second time. Now, if you've decided to use the heat transfer vinyl method, here's what you'll need to do. Using the zigzags on the pattern as a template, draw out the lines on some HTV and cut them out. You can make them however wide you'd like. We made ours 2 millimeters wide. Once the zigzags are cut out, iron them onto the armbands, making sure they are following the drawn-on guidelines. Make sure to use some parchment paper to protect your fabric. Fold your 1 centimeter seam allowance towards the inside at the top and bottom of your armbands. At your machine, with the right side of the fabric facing up, top stitch it down about 7 to 8 millimeters from the edge. You'll now be applying your open-ended zipper. Fully unzip your zipper and separate the two pieces. Place each piece of the zipper face down on the armband at the edges. If your zipper is longer than the armband, make sure you're lining up the bottom of the zipper perfectly flush with the bottom of the armband, leaving the excess zipper hanging off of the top. Since the teeth of the zipper add about 5 millimeters of width, you'll need to take that into account when sewing the zipper. Do so by placing the zipper 5 millimeters away from the edge and then pin the zipper in place. Using a zipper foot, sew the zipper down 1 centimeter from the edge.
You now have two options to finish the top of your zipper. Option 1 is the more professional way of doing it, but in my opinion, for this project in specific, option 2 looks nicer and it's actually easier.
For option 1, you'll need to turn your zipper tape towards the outer edge and tack it down on the zipper tape. You then cut off the excess zipper and use a lighter to seal the cut edge of the zipper. For option 2, turn the zipper towards the inside and top stitch through the stitch that is already there. Cut off the excess zipper and seal with a lighter. Turn the zippers towards the inside of the armbands and do a top stitch about 7 millimeters from the edge. This will secure your zipper on the inside. And with that, your armbands are done. Moving on to the boot covers. Just like we did with the armbands, pierce holes into the pattern at the corners of the zigzags. Place your pattern over the fabric and mark the holes with erasable chalk or pen. Also, mark the ends of the zigzags at the edges of the fabric. Using the same pen or chalk and a ruler, connect the dots to create your guidelines. Create the zigzags in the same method you chose for the armbands, so either a top stitch or with some heat transfer vinyl. Take out your front detail pieces. Right side to right side, line them up and sew along the top 3 edges 1 centimeter from the edge. Cut the seam allowance as close to the stitch as possible. Please be careful not to cut into the seam. Turn your piece inside out, pushing the corners out as best as possible. Top stitch around the 3 edges 7 to 8 millimeters from the edge. Right side to right side, line up your front detail piece in between the notches at the top of the boot cover. Pin it in place and sew 9 millimeters from the edge. Fold your 1 centimeter seam allowance towards the inside at the top of the boot covers. Your front detail piece will naturally flip up. With the right side of the fabric up, top stitch it down 7 millimeters from the edge. It can be pretty bulky when you get to the area that has the front detail, so just take your time here. You'll now be applying your open-ended zipper. Place each piece of the zipper face down on the boot covers at the edges. If your zipper is longer than the boot cover, make sure you are lining up the bottom of the zipper 1.2 centimeters higher than the bottom of the boot cover, leaving the excess zipper hanging off of the top. Now when we say bottom of the zipper, we mean the actual stopper. In our example, we weren't using the right zipper, but with your closed-ended zipper, the stopper is truly at the bottom. You can't see it well here, but the stoppers are indeed 1.2 centimeters higher than the bottom of the boot covers. For this type of zipper, the tape just extends a little after the stopper. Since the teeth of the zipper add about 5 millimeters of width, you'll need to take that into account when sewing the zipper. Do so by placing the zipper 5 millimeters away from the edge and then pin the zipper in place. Using a zipper foot, sew the zipper down 1 centimeter from the edge. Just like we did with the armbands, choose an option to finish the zipper. This time we chose option 2. We turned the zipper towards the inside and top stitched through the stitch that was already there. We then cut off the excess zipper and sealed it with a lighter. Take out your facing piece and, right side to right side, line it up at the bottom of the boot cover. Pin it in place and sew 1 centimeter from the edge. When you are sewing at the zipper area, make sure you are sewing towards the outside of the zipper teeth. When you get to the middle corner, you can use the point of your zigzag as a guide to make sure you are perfectly lined up in the corner. Trim the seam allowance of the facing only at the zipper edges down to about 5 millimeters. Trim the rest of the seam allowances as close to the stitch as possible without cutting into your stitch. Turn your facing inside out, pushing the corners out as best as possible. Top stitch along all the edges 7 to 8 millimeters from the edge, including the zipper area, making sure to fold the zipper towards the inside when doing so. And with that, your boot covers are complete.
As mentioned earlier, our book includes detailed instructions for the foam method, so if you're interested in using this technique, be sure to grab our pattern. You can find the link to our store in the description box below. I think that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you like and subscribe. Your support means a lot to the channel. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms and feel free to tag us in your projects. We love seeing and sharing your creations. I hope you found this was helpful, and as always, good luck with your projects, guys. Bye!